Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Third Culture Convos. Today, I'm with your boy, MJ. What up, what up? And today we're gonna
What's
actually
up?
keep
What's up?
talking about what we were just talking about because it's very interesting because there's big news. Social media is always interesting. And there's always big news. There's always big news. But social media is particularly interesting because of, especially to the third culture people, is because it's all over the it affects us all. And I actually think it creates more third culture people because the distance between what life was like, you know, in like the 80s and the 90s, pre the beginning of social medias, even the early 2000s, is totally different from the world that like is now, and how people interact socially, and how kids grow up, and the world that and the expectations on them, and where their closest friends are, right? Like they don't necessarily hang out outside with their closest friends. Their closest friends are they chat with them, right? They play Call of Duty together or something. Um and and so so that's how that ties in. And so big news that's going on in the news today is that Mark Zuckerberg of Meta, formerly known as Facebook, is laying off 11,000 workers. Part of this is a result. I think a part of this is a result of the stupid crash of the stock price, right? Like, so it went down by like a stupid amount last week, like it really went down. And that's not good news. And that's happened for like lots of reasons, right? Like that also is a result of a lot of things. And uh, so what I think is that what it's interesting. I think what Mark Zuckerberg is doing, and here's why I think it's interesting, that he's like making a long-term bet, and it's a huge bet, and I don't know if he can actually do that. I don't know if anybody can pull off a bet of that size, right? Like Elon Musk is also doing that, but I feel like he's doing that with like short wins, and he's like leveraging a bunch of companies, like he's doing it across a bunch of companies. So he's got like Tesla, he's got SpaceX, he's got and now Twitter as well. Like he's got all these things kind of against to leverage. Mark's got one company, and he's making a bet on VR, and we're not anywhere near VR readiness in terms of like technology, and it being like a mass product, and there's so many issues around it. And it's so expensive because he wants to be the guy that develops it all, right? He wants to own the space of VR. He wants you all to be in his world. And like I don't think people can, like, I don't have the patience. Like no one's gonna wait 10 years for the technology to catch up, because he's just leveraging, like or he's hemorrhaging money, right? And so he's got to fire 11,000 people, um and like will probably continue to do so, right?
Well, that's the crazy part about this is it's 11,000 people, but he still has the money to put it into the metaverse. So
Mm.
it's not that he's firing them because they don't have the money. They have the money. They just don't want to pay the humans. They'd rather invest in their own technology. I actually have a different take personally. I actually think it's the opposite. Um, Zucks is actually focused on small wins, and he's getting there eventually in his grand plan. Elon Musk, for me, is betting on like 10 different things, and he's just hemorrhaging and losing everywhere. In my reading from what I'm getting,
Mm.
just even with Twitter, he's been Elon Musk has been very public about admitting that, like, yeah, I guess I overpaid for this pile of crap. And so, like, I think, and even Tesla, he sold his shares. He had promised he's not going to sell his shares in like March or like quarter one. And by quarter three, he had sold more Tesla shares. Maybe for the sale, maybe not. We don't know. But all we know is he said one thing, he did another. But with this metaverse, I do agree with you on the main point about metaverse that I don't think it's as big as he's making it out to be, but at the same time, I can totally see why he would believe it. There's too many people out here who want to live a second life or want to get away from their real life. And so I do think there is a market. And even in the metaverse, big companies have started spending a lot of money buying properties within the metaverse. There was another article
Well, yeah,
about
but
how luxury companies have started.
I think that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Like
I
personally, I think that's like I don't see it as a gold rush. Like I understand the idea of it being a gold rush, but there are some fundamental like there's some fundamental issues I think with VR in terms of its adoption into like real life. So like I'm with you. Plenty of people want a break. Like I mean that's okay. Let's like draw the analogy to video games, like video games, PlayStation, Xbox. Like that's a break, right? Like when you play an immersive game, you're in the game, right? Even if you wear the VR headset, then you're super in the game. But one of the things about playing a video game, um, like on the couch, for instance, is that you can still kind of be part of the family. So even like your partner could be like cooking or asking you some questions, and you could still be playing Call of Duty, and you'll be like you're still there. You're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this. Yeah, sure, we'll do that. Yeah, I'll pick them up. But when you're in VR, you're out of the room. Like you're not like you're sitting there with a headset, and you're not inside the room. And so like even if your partner like I don't want like if your partner doesn't want to be on VR or somebody like they don't want to be on VR, then you're like totally checked out of the experience in the house, right? Like it's not a middle way. It's not like sitting on the couch and being on your phone. And so you're still kind of there, but you're on your phone. It's a totally different immersion that takes you out of the physical reality. And so that's I think is a block to its adoption as a like like everybody wants out, everybody wants in.
again, I think uh that's part of the appeal. The very thing that you're saying is a bug, I'm saying is a feature. That getting completely out of reality is exactly the point that he's trying to bet on. That there's enough people out there that want to just completely divorce themselves from this reality and enter one that they can control more of. I think there's more of that. You're not the market. You have a partner. So that almost automatically kind of like excludes you from like
Yeah,
qualification. You didn't even
yeah.
qualify, bro. You didn't even make it into the like short list.
They're not even selling it to me.
You don't live in the basement. So yeah, exactly. Like you're
But
not
well, that's
like
the problem with the tech though. Is like I feel like this is very like America. Show me you're poor. Show me your like this. I will give them a VR headset.
and that's it's cynical and pessimistic, but that's I the more I look at just general life, there's a lot of these things I would never have assumed would work, which is why I'm assuming this might work. I'm not discounting it just because a lot of the things that I've seen just generally from the city of Dubai, the entire city of Dubai, to NFTs and cryptocurrencies. NFTs specifically, I'm kind of like, where's the practical value of this? What's the tangible sort of investment in this? And there's people who will outright tell you there is none, but I own this digitally and it's an investment. They'll still say it's an investment. So like I don't get the digital like universe, and I just find it interesting that there are companies that have started investing in metaverse. It's still nowhere near profitable or running the way he wants or whatever. But I do like his single mindedness that this is the grand vision and I'm trying to just achieve this. Whereas if we go back to the Elon Musk comparison, he's almost stretching himself, in my opinion, way too far. He's like, the guy's got no focus. If you
Man,
can be CEO of, there's that tweet someone wrote,
yeah,
if you
yeah.
can be CEO of three companies,
It's
it
not a
kind of
full-time job.
means you don't do much. Like, you really don't do that much. And it's kind of true.
Well, I mean, every kind of company has its cycles and it ramps up when it ramps up. And like there's times to be on the floor, and then there's times to like, you take a break. And then that's when you work on your other company, right? And then that's when you take a break. And also, I mean, Elon is notorious for like not sleeping and like just like living at the office. And so, like that's one thing that he does. Like he's notorious for that as well. But I don't necessarily think he's spreading too thin, because I think his entire, like I think he's genuine in the sense that his entire he has a very high, um let's say like social, like a social drive in terms of like why he does the things that he does. So there is a connection between all his companies, like, right, like, so the Tesla is about improving, like, so everything is about becoming an intergalactic species. So that's the like big picture. And so, and every company serves a function in order to achieve that. So Tesla is the batteries, and SpaceX are the rockets, reusable rockets. And he has another one, Solar City, which is the solar panels. I don't know if that's still up and running, but it's like solar energy. So it's also getting energy, putting them in the batteries, and then, flying, setting up rockets. And then, and I think with Twitter, I think Twitter also has a sort of a communicative function, because with Twitter, it's. I mean, I love what he's saying about Twitter. I love his approach. Like I can't help but kind of be supportive of it, because I'm in general annoyed of the rest of social media in terms of like, obviously I'm aware of censorship and like what people can say, and what is dubbed misinformation, and who dubs misinformation, and when they dub misinformation, and it's how convenient that misinformation is just bad news about you. um and so that all of these things. So when I see him kind of although it was really funny actually when I see him like tout, like, I want to make Twitter more of a open space, and like make it like a space where all ideas can be discussed regardless of whether, like, he was saying that he had always voted Democrat, but he's in general an independent. But he was saying like you should vote Republican now for the House, because um, uh, by having a Senate that is the opposite of the presidency, you defend against the excesses of either party. So if you have pure Democrats, you're just gonna have like the excesses of the Democratic Party. You don't like what I'm saying, or no? It
It
doesn't.
does. It doesn't, like, I think there's a flaw in that theory, because then nothing really gets done. If you have two different opposing parties doing different things. So, for example, just today in today's election, I think the House has been flipped for the Republicans, but the Senate is still the Democrats. So
Mhm.
anything that the Democrat Senate brings up for Joe Biden to sign, the Republicans who control the House will say, no, we're not doing this. And anything the Republicans in the House bring up, the Senate Democrats will say, we're not doing it. And Joe Biden himself said, everybody, even if the Republicans win, don't worry, I'll always veto something. So, like, this theory, it might make sense, but I don't think it works in like the practical, like, you might have like in an academic setting, sure, like one counterbalances the other and there's an automatic checks and balances, but I don't think in the actual dynamics of the situation it works like that. Um, and that's my one big issue with just Elon Musk in general, and where I don't mind Mark Zuckerberg. Zucks, he still kind of stays out of politics as much as he can, whereas Elon Musk fucking throws himself in there as far into it as he can almost. I do want to I do want to add one more thing. I have a message here from a buddy of mine, my buddy Mike. Um, Bro, me and some guy I know from high school, uh, we met up with an old buddy of ours who works in Twitter's data science department. He's decently high up and he's been there for 4 to 5 years. We met him last month. They've been bracing for chaos, pushing through promotions, doing what they can to take care of the employees before Musk took over. So this was before Musk taking over. He continues then in a separate message. Apparently, Tesla is a shit show internally. No one stays there long. Employees use it as a 6 month crash course and bounce.
Yeah.
And so, with Elon Musk, my one big issue with a lot of these CEOs, these big American CEOs, is I don't know how far their marketing departments have stretched them. Like, I don't know how much is marketing versus how much they actually
It's
do. So,
substance.
for example, again, very different. Elizabeth Holmes, who was Theranos' CEO, she was on trial like a month, 2 months ago. Um,
Yeah.
she did the whole testing. She's going to revolutionize blood testing. You're
Yeah.
going to be able to take one drop of blood from the index finger and test for 150 different tests in one go. And it turned out to be complete BS. And she burned through 6, 7 years. She burned through like billions of cash or hundreds of millions in cash.
Yeah.
Uh, and she met in the documentary on Netflix, she met with Joe Biden, who was not president back then. And she met with another guy who was Republican. He had served in the Trump cabinet. And so that's my point, that all these people bought into, like, yo, Elizabeth Holmes is a revolutionary CEO. And I personally feel that's the same way for a lot of these Musk people, is that we're being fed a version of them that doesn't necessarily exist. I think there's a lot of marketing in when he
Um,
sleeps in the office. I don't like, maybe he does sleep in the office. I don't know how much he really does there though, versus enjoy being the boss there. Working versus being the boss at work.
I mean, I'm with you. I understand what you're saying, but I don't think it applies to Musk, and here's why. Because like with Musk particularly, it's quite consistent. I think it's like, okay, anyone that does anything worth any salt, you're gonna have split opinion on, right? Like you're gonna have people split on that person. But with him, like just literally the sheer volume of companies, I mean, like you can look at just one company and that would be enough for like any other person, right? So like starting a car company during the recession, like a battery car company during the recession in a notoriously, like how did he describe the auto industry in the States? He called it like a mafia, right? Like you have the big car companies, the big families, and then that's it. And there was like, and if you wanted to break them, right? Like, and the way he did that, other than like, doing the manufacturing, handling, like, literally building a car manufacturing company, was also cutting out the dealers. And so not going through dealers and just setting up his own direct to consumer like system. That's crazy stuff. People always forget about PayPal. PayPal was like PayPal was revolutionary in terms of like what it provided in terms of payments for like online payments and digital payments. The other thing that like even with SpaceX, right? Like I think the first commercial contract ever given by NASA was like earned by SpaceX, um, so that they could handle the restocking of the space stations, like that contract. Um, that's like all of that's like each one of those things alone is insane. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And you have to be, and I think like you have to be a little off, a little off, a lot off to do that. And even on his interviews, you can sense, he's not necessarily a people person. He's definitely not a people person, right? Like he's definitely not a people person. But I don't get from anything that I've seen from him. Like I feel like you got to respect the street cred, like the fact that he did what he did, like everything that he did, what he did. Like if he did 10% of everything that he's done, that would also be like, whoa. but then after, so and then but with Mark Zuckerberg, I feel like with Mark, I feel man, I mean. Yeah, I think he made some good moves, but I don't feel the same way about him because of the story and how it started and like I feel like there's an abdication of responsibility a lot of the times from him.
Okay, I just want to clarify here
Mm.
because I think I don't admire either one of these two men, Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg. I think they've done some cool shit, some good shit, I guess, but I personally don't put them up on any pedestal at all. In fact, I often look at them with a little bit of pity that you have this much money, but both of you seem very unhappy. None of you seem satisfied in life. And the other one, modern Lex Luthor, Bezos. Same thing. Bill Gates, at least for like 4 or 5 years, he looked like he was just enjoying life. Like the monopoly that was Microsoft, he seemed to like relish being the most like hated man on the earth. None of these guys seem to be able to handle
Happy
that
about
pressure
it?
well. Yeah, yeah. Zuckerberg does not seem to deal well with it at all. He'll just build another wall over his house in Hawaii. I
Yeah.
just want to be clear. I don't like any of them, so I don't prefer any one of them over the other. Again, this is where I think Elon Musk, you mentioned Mark Zuckerberg's origin story, like from the movie Social Network,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like that's what you're referring to, the twins,
Yeah.
Winklevoss twins,
Yeah.
right? Um, Elon Musk is also from like a diamond owning family in South Africa. Like that to me says like that's like kind of a lot worse actually because there's like direct labor
Yeah.
issues in that department and
Yeah.
historically and they continue to be.
Yeah.
The other thing is with PayPal, for example, Elon Musk, he never founded PayPal. He bought it and then took it like with his coding skill, no doubt. He took it to the next fucking level. I'm not disagreeing with that, but he never like a popular misconception that I myself had was that he founded and created PayPal. Even so, can be a double-edged sword. Some people will say this shows what a good businessman he is, and some people will say, like me, that this shows that he's not that great a businessman. There's a website here I've just opened up on Business Insider. Elon Musk is speaking out against government subsidies. Here's a list of the billions of dollars his businesses have received. And so when you say like Tesla started in the recession, he built a car company in the recession. Yes, through the backs, like because the US government funded a lot of it,
Well, I mean,
especially at that time with Obama and the green alternative energy thing. I'm just saying that, like, none of the, even Mark Zuckerberg, by the way, again, he didn't do anything. He stole two guys' code and he got investors on board. Like the one thing he did smart was to make Facebook go early before anybody else did. He got money involved with Facebook. And so he got protection immediately.
that's the thing. But what I'm saying is that what do these guys have in common? I'm gonna give it to Mark Zuckerberg as well and to Bezos, is that they're like they're not businessmen of the year, right? They're businessmen of the decade, right? In terms of like, because like I think as your job as the like as the CEO of a business or the leader or the thing is like, you set the vision, you set the team, you get them motivated, you achieve goals, yada yada yada. But you also like you use every advantage that you can know and take advantage of so you can make your moves, right? And all of them, like we wouldn't be talking about them if they did not do this, right? Like one of the things that like about Jeff Bezos, right, is like he's a beast. He took like he took the biggest cost centers in his business and turned them into profit centers. Like that's beast moves. That's unbelievable, right? Like AWS, Amazon Web Services, is currently the large. Like look, so before when you start an online business, you have to, which is what he was doing as Amazon. You got to rent out server space, and so that's a cost. And so what he does is he goes, okay, no man, let's just get our own servers and let's rent out server space to others. And now, like 70%, I think, of the internet is on AWS. Like 70% of the internet's on Amazon Web servers. It's huge. It makes a stupid amount of money. And to do that, I mean, even you think like to sit and think, okay, how can I turn my cost centers into profit centers? That's baller. That's amazing. like as a businessman, I'm that's good move. Good move. And so what I'm saying is that like that's why we talk about them, because they're on the stratosphere when it comes to like big business moves. Like all these guys they're definitely like at the forefront of that. That's what I'm saying. So that's what I
I
give
agree,
them.
and that's what like just going full circle. That's the damn shame when Zuckerberg announces or his company announces that they're going to delete 11,000 jobs from their files. Um, that's like the damn
I mean,
mode and 7G's jobs in one go is no.
I
Yani
can't.
like 11 like you've got people graduating, you've got I get it. Look, I get it. I know where you're coming from that yo, if I don't have the money for your jobs, I can't like if your jobs are meaningless or if you're not doing much, you're not adding value in which I'm profiting, I can't give you money. I have no justification. I get the business logic of it, but I just think one, it should be done a lot more steadily. 11,000 in one go. You can't do 1,000 every month, lottery style. Who's the unlucky 1,000 this
Well,
month?
I mean, no, but the whole point, like, imagine, look, with the absurdity of it all. But the whole point of it is that the business can't sustain
The
itself, and so
Killing Game, the Hunger
and
Games, Meta
and
Edition.
like usually for every business, the biggest burden, like the biggest you for most businesses, the biggest burden or the biggest cost is the salary. And so the quickest way to free up a lot of cash, just because like you're paying them out every month or every 2 weeks, is to fire everybody, especially if they don't add anything to the business's bottom line. What I mean, even well, I read that I don't know if this is true, but that Elon was just gonna fire all of the HR department, like the entire HR department was gone. Like goodbye, guys. I'll get a robot to do this. Get out. I'm laughing in probably in this little sadistic manner, but but the like so I understand that like a private bit it's gonna do that, right? Like you don't necessarily want to do that or not, but if you're like I mean that those are hard decisions that business owners got to take. Like even if I'm running a coffee shop, all right, okay, I own a coffee shop, 2 3 4 years in, it's doing all right, but it's taking a lot from me. It's doing fine, but it's taking a lot from me as the owner, right? And I hire like I got my baristas, I got my servers, I got all these guys. But after 5 years, I'm tired. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something else now. So I close the business and everybody has to get a new job, right? Like
But that's the thing though. That's exactly the difference is that in your example,
hmm.
you've sold the business, you're moving on. This is exactly what's so unnerving about this situation is that Meta is not going anywhere. Facebook as a business, they're not going anywhere. In fact, they're going to be putting more money into the metaverse. We know this. He's
Yeah,
openly said this.
so they'll hire more people on metaverse and less people on like everything else.
I don't know. I don't know what the plan is with the You seem to have a better grasp with the nadi than I do.
Well, I'm just like, I mean, if you're gonna cut like, I mean, if we're gonna like, if I'm in a business, I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna not do this anymore, and I'm gonna do more of this now. Then, like, yes, I don't want to do this often because it's very expensive to fire people too, right? Like, it's very expensive to fire 11,000 people. Like, I'm sure you save more because you'll also need to hire more for something else, and that costs a lot of money too. And like, I'm not like, and I'm not like I'm not hating. Like this is how like value is created, and sometimes like you need to cut off an arm so you can grow a cyborg arm. You know, like a VR arm. Like that's and I'm just like I mean I want to say like my heart goes out to the people that are losing their jobs at Facebook, but I not necessarily though, because it's like I mean generally if you were working at Facebook, like it's not like they were underpaid, right? Like you're not hearing that like you're hearing that like it was it cannot be a shitty place to work, but it's not like you were running out of money, like by being there. Like you're not a janitorial staff at a school, right? You're like that. My heart will extend there, right? When there's cuts to like schools and there's cuts to that's where my heart goes. But to like 11,000 Facebook employees losing their job, like now you're ex Facebook, I think you'll be fine.
I agree. It was the same. I had the same reaction when he did get can a bunch of Twitter employees. I was like, I don't know why I'm supposed to feel so sympathy
Yeah,
for
like
you.
like
Like,
nobody
no,
should ever get
like,
fired. Like no one should ever lose their
like
job. I don't understand
again,
like this
if you
expectation that
you
no one
guys
should ever
have
lose their.
degrees,
Yeah,
you have qualifications, you have things like you said, the janitorial staff, they'll just get a robot. They'll get I vacuum to
yeah.
start cleaning tomorrow. His job is obsolete. Your job is not obsolete. It's over from this company, but you can still find that role
Yo, and you still
somewhere else.
get severance and you get this and you get that and like all these other like things that are protected. Like you get like you still your stocks and you can sell them or buy them or leave them. Like you had all these other things that you had going, and then now and you would also put on your CV if you don't want to go start something, you could still be like ex Facebook baby, and ex Facebook. That's gonna count for something in the job market.
In today's world, that's the marketing scam. That's literally what I was
Yeah, that's
talking
what we
about
do.
with
Like every
individuals.
six
That
months
like,
we go.
oh, I'm Harvard, I'm Facebook, and like people are like
Yeah,
impressed by the
I'm
name
I'm
only.
ex Tesla. I'm ex this, and people are gonna lose their
You could
minds
have
over that stuff.
gotten, you could have got coffee for 6 months at Facebook. No one will ask you that. They'll just look
Yeah,
at the fact that you worked at Facebook.
yeah. Um,
Uh,
so like, so that's like, in thinking through this issue, um, right? Like, it's interesting that like I would like that like no one should ever lose their job. I think that's a strange, like that's a strange like assertion, right? Like to think like, and even like the cuts. I mean, I think that actually the stock price went up 3% when they announced the cuts. Like it would like okay, at least you're doing something, right? Like at least you're trying to stop the hemorrhaging, because if you are going to make the bet on Meta, then double down, cut out the additional fat. That's hard to do, but cut it out so you can be leaner, so you can hit the goal. Like that's the business mantra. Like get lean so you can actually get to where you need to go. Which means being brutal on yourself, and like I mean, I wonder if they're gonna do a Steve Jobs to Zucks, right? Like if it would follow that same type of storyline, like or could he leave? Could he go set up a rival, come back like with the great return, the great coming? Like I don't even think so. I think like maybe Jobs was the only one that could have ever done that.
Howard Schultz as well for Starbucks. This is the third time
Yeah, yeah.
he's
Comes
been
back,
back
fixes everything.
CEO third time. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Man, every time I leave it to you, you guys come and you fucking paint on the walls. You bring me these ping pong tables. Nobody wants ping pong tables in the fucking office. Get that shit out of here. Like, who's in charge here? The HR department. Fuck. Yo, good talking to you, bro.
Likewise, likewise, man.
Peace, peace, y'all.
Yalla, yalla.